come in and made a concerted effort to rehabilitate that. Scott Collins is a project executive with Bedrock Real Estate, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to the show. Hey, how are you?
Great. Good to see you again.
Good to see you as well. You showed me some incredible things last year.
Yeah.
Tell me what the update is with Project Detroit.
Well, we just continue. Now I think I'll say we're into a mode where we've got it figured out, and we continue to develop properties, continue to take on properties. So I think at last glance, we're over 100 properties all within what we call the Central Business District, which amounts to about 13 million square foot of property in real estate.
Yeah.
And continue to expand that footprint, not as fast as it was previously, but certainly are still very active in the marketplace and have seen a lot of other development and a lot of other developers getting involved as well, which is great to see.
Scott, what is the most exciting thing to you about your job and what you guys do at Bedrock?
Well, I think most exciting thing for me, that's interesting. For me, the city of Detroit, and I've lived there all my life, has always been a city that you may go down for a baseball game, you may go down for dinner, but you're always leaving the city.
Right.
It's a very commuter-based city. I'm 43 years old, so all my life is quite a long time for the city. I think for the first time, you're seeing people actually living, actually working, actually playing downtown. Our residential rates there's a waiting list to get an apartment. Rental rates have doubled, if not tripled, over the last 2 or 3 years. Parking has doubled and tripled. Our leasable space is almost non-existent. So we're literally seeing a city that was, 5 years ago, 50% occupied, to a city that's 95% occupied, which is
What's
phenomenal.
been the secret?
That's a great question. I think it's just been a total transformation, and really not accepting any excuses or reasons not to get involved and not to be part of the transformation. So, I think we've taken great efforts to try to eliminate negative, right? So the city of Detroit was always perceived as an unsafe place to be. We've tried to help eliminate that, help provide security if we need to, help provide additional resources to the city that ultimately changes the attitude of the area, and ultimately helps us as one of the major developers, or the major developer, see traction and retention of tenants, and tenants excited to come to the city. Every day we're working with somebody new, that our tenants that, what used to be B or C level tenants are now A plus level tenants, which is a great thing to see.
What are some of the most effective techniques and technologies that you've used and employed to create not only a higher security environment, but also a higher efficiency building?
Yeah, so we, when we first started sitting down, which was probably 3 or 4 years ago, we were at the forefront of really deploying smart building technology, and there's a lot of different definitions of that. But our definition really is to be able to read and write to our spaces, to be able to watch and predict how our tenants' spaces are acting, and being able to help those before we even see a call from our potential tenants. We started it really to differentiate ourselves as a developer, really to set a standard that says we're thinking about our tenants and we're driving for perfection. So, with that concept, we instantly, as soon as we acquire a property, put in infrastructure to support building management systems. That infrastructure also supports cameras, card access control. It supports digital antenna systems, or DAS, or distributed antenna systems. It supports whatever the future may bring as far as technology. So I think day one of property acquisition, that is something we're thinking about and conscious of, to be able to go and deploy into building. Whatever the condition may be of the building as we buy it, we try to modernize it and bring it up to the 21st century from a technology perspective.
That brings up a very interesting point. We are not talking about buildings that were built 2 years ago or even 10 years ago.
Right.
How old are these buildings oftentimes?
It varies. Some of our smaller, 10-story-ish buildings might be in the 1875 to 1900 era. Some of our larger high-rises range into the 1900 to 1925.
So how do you turn a building
so-
from 1875 into a smart building? What are the unique challenges to that?
For us, and I think many of the Midwestern cities in the Rust Belt, many of those buildings sat vacant for a long, long time. So many of the properties that we bring on are really in need of a total transformation.
Sure.
So many of our first steps are going in and just literally cleaning out buildings and utilizing the four walls. Because that's the traditional architecture character of that building. So
Right.
we do our best to try to preserve what it used to be.
Right.
But when it comes to the inside, we basically are rebuilding from top to bottom. So ultimately our end result ends up to be a product that has tremendous character with technology that is state of the art. So it's really, I think the way we look at things, and certainly we're never bottom line driven. We're always driven to try to do the right thing. And I think that concept has proven to be very successful over time.
Tell me about one of the buildings that you manage, that your company manages, that you are most excited about. When you think about a building that most exemplifies what Bedrock does?
Boy, that's a great question. There's so many.
Yeah. You can tell us a couple.
You know, I think probably one of my favorites would be a building 1449 Woodward, which if you looked at original photographs, you'd go, oh my gosh, that's just one of the, it's just hideous, right? We've come through, we clean the exterior, we replace all the windows. Before I'm done with core and shell construction, meaning getting it ready for tenants, we're fully leased up on the first floor with two high-end retailers. And we're fully leased up on floors 2 through 8, which is a big office user. So really, before I can finish core and shell, the building will be fully occupied with A-level tenants, and just great. It's just got a great feel and a great perspective from a building. But that's one of, the last 4 years have been phenomenal in trying to transform old buildings into new great pieces of art in the city. So,
What's the most exciting technology, either the most exciting technology that you currently use, that Bedrock currently uses, or the most exciting technology that you're seeing here starting to emerge?
You have great questions.
Thanks.
I think from our perspective, the most useful technology for us has been Tritium. So we deploy a Niagara platform to pull data from existing buildings because it basically normalizes different components. So we're not into a situation where, in some cases, some of our buildings where we do have useful infrastructure, we can reserve and maintain that.
Yes.
Without a full clean out. So that's really been our platform.
And are there
deployment.
significant cost savings to this?
Absolutely. Yeah, from our perspective, if you go on a floor and I can utilize existing systems versus having to remove and replace those existing systems to be able to integrate and see what data we need to pull from the building.
Right.
It's a tremendous cost savings.
And as far as what you're seeing out here on the show?
I haven't walked yet.
Right.
I'm guessing from what I've seen in past shows, and I can answer that question better later on.
Yeah.
But certainly the development of the analytic tools is getting more and more involved in really being able to predict how buildings are going to operate is exciting to watch. I think we have a unique situation in that we have a tremendous amount of data that we pull from our buildings, millions of points, and so we have that fundamental foundation to be able to utilize the tools that we'll see on the floor as to really create a phenomenal asset. So.
And when you look out to the future of what Bedrock is going to do next, what are you beginning to see?
I think more of the same. I think we're starting to see new development, new buildings in the city of Detroit, which it hasn't happened in 25 or 30 years.
Right.
So, we started with renovating existing portfolio. Now we're seeing new residential developments. We're seeing the new stadium up the street for us for the Red Wings. We're seeing major development, automotives getting involved as well, and building new facilities. So you're really seeing new build in the city. So I see in the next 3 to 5 years, brand new construction, brand new facilities that will be fantastic to see integrated into our old portfolio, if you will, from an age perspective. So.
Scott, thank you so much for
No
being
problem.
here today.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for what you guys are doing for Detroit, and we'll be seeing you at the rest of the show.
Sounds great.
Thanks so much.